Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve regardless of how many times you may have failed in the past. There's a moment in every person's life when they stand at the crossroads of destiny. A moment when they must choose between the comfortable chains of mediocrity or the challenging path to greatness. That moment is now, right now, as these words reach your consciousness. Something profound is happening within you, a stirring, a recognition, an awakening to the undeniable truth that has guided the greatest men and women throughout history. Wealth is not a matter of chance, but a matter of choice, a systematic, deliberate, inevitable outcome of specific mental patterns that you can begin implementing today. Look around you. Everything you see, every building, every invention, every fortune began as nothing more than a thought in someone's mind, a seed planted in the fertile soil of imagination, watered with persistence, and harvested through decisive action. The device you're using to receive this message began as a thought. The chair you're sitting on began as a thought. The wealth you desire begins the same way, as a formula in your mind that, once properly established, creates a magnetic force field that draws success to you with the same certainty that gravity pulls objects to earth. Andrew Carnegie, once the richest man in the world, understood this principle intimately. Born into poverty in Scotland, he arrived in America with nothing but the clothes on his back and a burning desire in his heart. What transformed him from a penniless immigrant into the titan of the steel industry wasn't luck or circumstance. It was his unwavering belief in a simple yet profound truth, that our thoughts are things, powerful forces that shape our reality with mathematical precision. This is the very principle he shared with Napoleon Hill, commissioning him to spend 20 years studying the world's most successful individuals to discover the common formula that led to their extraordinary achievements. That formula exists. It has always existed. And today, I will share it with you in its entirety. But first, you must understand something crucial. This journey requires courage. The courage to examine your current thought patterns with brutal honesty. The courage to discard limiting beliefs that have kept you trapped in a prison of your own making. The courage to envision a future so magnificent that your current self might tremble at its grandeur. Many begin this journey, few complete it. The difference lies not in external circumstances, but in the willingness to undergo a complete mental transformation. What you're about to receive is not merely information, but a recoding of your mental software. The words you hear are designed to bypass your conscious mind and implant themselves directly into your subconscious, where all true power resides. This is not hyperbole or empty motivation. This is science, the science of mental alchemy that transforms the lead of ordinary thinking into the gold of extraordinary achievement. Imagine for a moment that you've been given a safe containing unlimited wealth. The only problem is that you don't have the combination. You've tried random numbers, birth dates, anniversaries, nothing works. You've even attempted to break it open through force, through shortcuts, through get-rich-quick schemes that promised everything and delivered nothing. All this time, the wealth was there, waiting for you, separated only by your lack of the correct sequence. The mental formula I'm about to share is that sequence, the exact combination that unlocks the safe of unlimited abundance that has always been your birthright. Each principle builds upon the last, creating a complete system that, when implemented with disciplined precision, makes failure mathematically impossible. Let us begin with the foundation, definite purpose. Without this, nothing else matters. Vague wishes and general desires produce vague, general results. The universe responds to specificity with specificity. When Thomas Edison set out to create the incandescent light bulb, he didn't merely wish for some kind of new invention. He specified exactly what he wanted to achieve with such clarity that his mind had no choice but to organize itself around that outcome. Your definite purpose must be so crystal clear that you could explain it to a child in a single sentence. It must burn within you with such intensity that it's the first thing you think about when you wake and the last thing on your mind before sleep claims you. It must be written down, spoken aloud, visualized in vivid detail, and felt with every fiber of your being. This is not goal setting as you've understood it before. This is the commanding of your entire nervous system to align with a singular vision. What is your definite purpose? not your parents' purpose for you, not society's expectation, not even what seems reasonable or practical. What is the deepest calling of your soul? The achievement that would make your life complete? The contribution only you can make? Answer this question, and you've taken the first step toward inevitable wealth. But a purpose without a plan remains merely a dream. The second element of the formula is organized planning. Notice I say organized planning, not perfect planning. The successful mind does not wait for the perfect plan before taking action. It creates a plan, begins immediate implementation, adjusts based on feedback, and continues forward motion regardless of temporary setbacks. Henry Ford didn't wait until he had designed the perfect automobile before starting his company. He began with what he knew, improved with each iteration, and built an empire through constant refinement. Your plan must be specific, measurable, time-bound, written, and most importantly, flexible enough to accommodate the inevitable obstacles that will test your resolve. Break your definite purpose into manageable steps. What must you accomplish this year to move toward your ultimate goal? This month, this week, today, this very hour? Success is not achieved through occasional heroic efforts, but through the accumulation of correct daily actions, each building upon the last like compound interest. Yet even the most brilliant plan will falter without the third element, unwavering faith. I'm not speaking of blind optimism or wishful thinking. I'm speaking of a faith grounded in evidence, the evidence of the immutable laws that govern all achievement. Just as you don't question whether gravity will hold you to the earth, you must develop an unshakable faith in the principles that govern success. This faith is developed through a systematic reprogramming of your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind, with its analytical thinking and logical processing, makes up only about 5% of your total mental capacity. The remaining 95%, your subconscious, is where all your habits, beliefs, and automatic responses reside. It is in this fertile soil that the seeds of wealth or poverty, success or failure, happiness or misery are planted and cultivated. The average person allows their subconscious to be programmed randomly by the news, by well-meaning but unsuccessful friends and family, by past failures and disappointments. The extraordinary individual takes control of this programming. With the precision of a master coder writing flawless software, they feed their subconscious mind only those thoughts, images, and affirmations that support their definite purpose. This is not positive thinking as it's commonly misunderstood. This is the deliberate manipulation of the most powerful force in the universe, your thought energy, to create specific, predictable results in your physical reality. When Napoleon Hill interviewed the 500 most successful individuals of his time, he discovered that every single one of them had developed methods to harness this force, whether they called it that or not. How do you develop this unwavering faith? Through autosuggestion, the repeated exposure of your subconscious mind to the thoughts you wish to dominate your awareness each morning and each night. You must read aloud your written statement of definite purpose, infusing it with the emotion of absolute certainty. You must visualize its accomplishment so vividly that all 5 senses are engaged. You must speak, think, and act as if your success is already guaranteed, because under the laws of mental physics, it is, but faith without action is dead. The fourth element of the formula is persistent action. The world is littered with the broken dreams of those who knew what to do, but failed to do what they knew. Knowledge without application is merely potential power. It becomes actual power only when implemented with dogged persistence. Consider the case of Colonel Sanders. At age 65, living on a $105 monthly Social Security check, he took his chicken recipe and began knocking on doors. He was rejected 1,009 times before someone said yes. Today, Kentucky Fried Chicken is one of the world's largest restaurant chains. The difference between Colonel Sanders and the thousands of others with great recipes was not the quality of his product, but the quantity of his persistence. When you commit to persistent action, you must understand that failure is not merely possible, it is guaranteed. Temporary defeat is the price of admission to the halls of success. Edison failed 10,000 times before perfecting the light bulb. When asked about these failures, he famously replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. This is the mindset you must cultivate. Your persistence must be intelligent, however. Blindly repeating the same failed approaches is not persistence, it's insanity. True persistence adjusts methods while maintaining the vision. The fifth element, often overlooked by lesser success philosophies, is mastermind alliance. No great fortune was ever built alone. Behind every successful individual is a carefully cultivated network of minds, working in perfect harmony toward a shared objective. This is not networking as it's commonly practiced, the shallow exchange of business cards and pleasantries. This is the deliberate creation of a brain trust, where the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. When Ford faced challenges in his production line, he didn't rely solely on his own knowledge. He assembled a team of the brightest minds he could find, each bringing specialized expertise to the table. The solutions that emerged from this mastermind group catapulted Ford Motor Company to unprecedented heights. Your mastermind must consist of individuals who complement your strengths, shore up your weaknesses, and share your commitment to excellence. They must be selected with the same care you would use in selecting the ingredients for a life-saving medicine, for that is precisely what your mastermind will be, the antidote to the poison of mediocrity that infects the majority of humanity. Meet with your mastermind regularly, either in person or virtually. Share your challenges openly. Celebrate your victories collectively. Hold each other accountable relentlessly. The power generated by a properly constituted mastermind alliance cannot be overestimated. It creates a third mind, a group intelligence that accesses solutions unavailable to the individual members, working separately. As these first 5 elements begin to work in concert, definite purpose, organized planning, unwavering faith, persistent action, and mastermind alliance, you will notice a strange phenomenon occurring in your life. Opportunities will appear from unexpected sources. Resources you didn't know existed will become available precisely when you need them. People essential to your success will enter your life as if by appointment. This is not coincidence. This is the 6th element of the formula at work, the law of cosmic habit force. This universal law states that any thought or action, repeated with emotional intensity over time, becomes a habit, and once habitualized, it operates with the same automatic precision as gravity, requiring no further conscious effort. Just as water shapes rock not through force, but through persistent flow, your consistent application of the previous 5 principles reshapes the very fabric of your reality. Think of it this way. The universe is not testing your desire, it's testing your consistency. Are you the type of person who pursues wealth with the same dedication with which you breathe? Or do you chase it in fits and starts, giving up at the first sign of resistance? The cosmic habit force rewards the former and ignores the latter. When Walt Disney was building his empire, he faced rejection after rejection. Banks refused to fund his childish dreams. Critics mocked his ambitions. Yet Disney maintained an unwavering consistency in his vision and efforts. Day after day, year after year, decade after decade, he persisted until the cosmos had no choice but to yield to his habit force. Today, the company he founded is worth billions, having outlived its creator through the power of his established patterns. Your task is to establish similar patterns, mental grooves so deep that returning to your old ways of thinking becomes more difficult than maintaining your new success consciousness. This is not accomplished overnight. It requires the 7th element of the formula, patient transmutation. Transmutation is the alchemical process of converting one form of energy into another. The most powerful form of transmutation occurs when you convert the primal energy of desire, particularly sexual energy, into creative achievement. This is not about suppression or denial. It's about channeling the most potent force in human experience toward your definite purpose. The greatest creative geniuses throughout history understood this principle. They recognized that sexual energy, when lifted from mere physical expression to the realm of creative imagination, fuels achievements of staggering magnitude. This energy, properly harnessed, provides the stamina, magnetism, and persuasive force necessary to convert your invisible thoughts into visible wealth. How does one accomplish this transmutation? Through disciplined focus. When thoughts of physical desire arise, acknowledge them. Then consciously redirect that energy toward your creative endeavors. Develop daily practices that clear the mind and allow this energy to circulate freely throughout your system. Meditation, physical exercise, artistic expression, deep work on your most important projects. Over time, you'll develop the ability to tap into this renewable resource at will, providing unlimited fuel for your wealth-building activities. As these 7 elements interact within your consciousness: definite purpose, organized planning, unwavering faith, persistent action, mastermind alliance, cosmic habit force, and patient transmutation, they create the 8th element, which cannot be directly controlled but inevitably emerges from the proper implementation of the previous 7: intuitive inspiration. The most profound solutions, the most innovative ideas, the most lucrative opportunities rarely come from conscious reasoning. They arise from the depths of intuition, that mysterious faculty that bypasses logical analysis and arrives at truth in a single bound. Einstein claimed that he discovered the theory of relativity not through sequential calculation, but through a flash of intuition while imagining himself riding a beam of light. Similar accounts have been shared by inventors, entrepreneurs, and artists throughout history. Your intuition is the direct line of communication between your conscious mind and infinite intelligence, the boundless creative force that permeates the universe. As you consistently apply the previous 7 principles, this line of communication becomes clearer, stronger, and more reliable. You'll begin to receive hunches, gut feelings, and sudden insights that, when acted upon promptly, lead to quantum leaps in your progress toward wealth. Trust these intuitive flashes. They are not random. They are the universe's response to your focused desire and disciplined action. They are the shortcuts to achievement that become available only to those who have proven their commitment through the consistent application of fundamental principles. Yet for this intuition to flow freely, you must master the 9th element of the formula: emotional self-mastery. Wealth responds only to those who have gained dominion over their emotional states. The undisciplined emotional nature, swinging wildly between enthusiasm and despair, creates chaotic results that mirror its internal turbulence. The 7 primary negative emotions: fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, and anger act as concrete barriers to the flow of wealth. They cloud judgment, repel opportunity, and waste the mental energy needed for creative problem solving. The 7 positive emotions: desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope serve as powerful attractors, magnetizing your mind to draw on the people, circumstances, and insights necessary for the manifestation of wealth. Your task is to become intimately familiar with both sets of emotions, developing the ability to recognize and redirect negative states before they gain momentum. This is not about denying or suppressing negative emotions, but about refusing to dwell in them, acknowledge their presence, extract their lesson, then consciously shift to their positive counterparts. Thomas Edison maintained such emotional mastery that when his laboratory burned to the ground, destroying years of irreplaceable research, his response was not despair, but excitement about the opportunity to start fresh, free from old mistakes. This is the level of emotional sovereignty you must develop. The 10th element, serving as both the foundation and capstone of the entire formula, is surrendered willingness. This seeming paradox, the simultaneous exercise of iron will and complete surrender, represents the most advanced spiritual understanding of wealth creation. Your willpower is essential. It provides the discipline to maintain your daily success practices when motivation wanes. It fuels the courage to continue when all external evidence suggests defeat. It enables you to say no to the countless distractions that would divert you from your definite purpose. Yet there comes a point where willpower alone reaches its limits. The greatest achievements require tapping into a power greater than your individual efforts. Call it God, infinite intelligence, universal mind, or cosmic consciousness. The name is immaterial. What matters is your recognition of and alignment with this greater power. Surrendered willingness means doing everything within your power, while releasing attachment to how your goals must be achieved. It means working with focused intensity, while maintaining the flexibility to recognize and accept unexpected avenues of opportunity. It means understanding that the how is not your responsibility, only the what and the why. When John D. Rockefeller built his oil empire, he combined relentless effort with a deep spiritual practice. Each morning, he spent time in prayer and contemplation, aligning his personal will with what he perceived as divine guidance. The surrendered willingness allowed him to navigate complex business challenges with a confidence and clarity unavailable to those relying solely on intellectual analysis. As you integrate these 10 elements, definite purpose, organized planning, unwavering faith, persistent action, mastermind alliance, cosmic habit force, patient transmutation, intuitive inspiration, emotional self-mastery, and surrendered willingness, a remarkable transformation occurs. Wealth creation ceases to be a stressful struggle and becomes a natural, joyful expression of your authentic self. This does not mean the absence of challenges. Challenges are necessary for growth, essential for the development of the strength required to maintain wealth once attained. What changes is your relationship to these challenges. Where others see insurmountable obstacles, you recognize disguised opportunities. Where others become paralyzed by fear, you feel the fear and take action anyway, knowing that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Consider the story of Abraham Lincoln. Before becoming one of America's greatest presidents, he endured a lifetime of defeats that would have crushed a lesser spirit, failed businesses, lost elections, personal tragedies. Yet through it all, he maintained an unwavering faith in his purpose and his principles. He understood that temporary defeats were not permanent failures, but necessary steps in his development. Your path to wealth will contain similar tests, custom designed to develop precisely the qualities you need for your unique journey. Welcome them, embrace them, extract their lessons, then use them as stepping stones to even greater achievements. As you progress, you'll notice another fascinating phenomenon: the acceleration of results. The early stages of applying this formula often produce minimal visible outcomes, leading many to abandon the process prematurely. They fail to understand that achievement, like compound interest, follows an exponential rather than linear progression. Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world for good reason. A penny doubled every day for 30 days becomes over $5 million. Your application of these principles follows the same mathematical curve. Small, consistent actions, maintained with faith and persistence, eventually reach a tipping point where visible results begin to multiply at a staggering rate. This is why patience, not the passive waiting of the indolent, but the active patience of the builder, is so crucial to the wealth creation process. The oak tree spends its first season developing roots, showing little above-ground growth. The casual observer might conclude that nothing significant is happening. Yet without this invisible foundation, the tree could never support the massive structure it will eventually become. Your early efforts in applying this formula are building a similar foundation. Trust the process, maintain your consistent action, know with certainty that the exponential phase of your growth is approaching, and when it arrives, you'll be stunned by the momentum that has quietly been building beneath the surface of your awareness. Let us now address the most insidious obstacle that prevents most people from implementing this formula successfully: the habit of procrastination. This silent wealth killer manifests in countless disguises: perfectionism, overpreparation, analysis paralysis, waiting for the right time, fear disguised as prudence. At its core, procrastination is not mere laziness, but a misguided attempt at self-protection, a subconscious strategy to avoid the discomfort of change and the possibility of failure. The antidote is the habit of decisive action, the commitment to move forward despite incomplete information or imperfect circumstances. When Andrew Carnegie was building his steel empire, he made decisions in minutes that would take others months of deliberation. He understood that in the time others spent analyzing, he could take action, assess results, adjust course, and make 10 more attempts, each bringing him closer to optimal execution. Develop the habit of the 5-second rule. When you know an action would move you toward your definite purpose, count backward from 5 and then move physically before your mind can generate excuses. 5 for 3 to 1 GO. This simple pattern interrupt bypasses the brain's fear response and initiates momentum, which is always easier to maintain than to create. Remember, wealth is attracted not to perfect plans, but to people in motion. The universe cannot steer a parked car. Get moving, even if your initial direction requires adjustment. The very act of movement creates the conditions for opportunity to find you. Another critical obstacle is the poison of negative associations. The 5 people you spend the most time with shape your thinking, your expectations, and your actions more than you realize. If these 5 people are cynical about wealth, comfortable with mediocrity, or critical of ambitious goals, their influence will sabotage your efforts regardless of your conscious intentions. This is perhaps the most difficult aspect of implementing the wealth formula, as it often requires the painful process of distancing yourself from those whose limiting beliefs act as anchors on your progress. You need not sever relationships entirely, but you must be vigilant about whose opinions you internalize and how much time you spend in environments that reinforce scarcity thinking. Seek out individuals who have achieved the level of wealth you desire. Study their habits, read their books, watch their interviews, attend their seminars. If direct access isn't immediately possible, create a virtual mastermind of mentors through intensive study of their principles and methods. Napoleon Hill himself used this approach, creating an imaginary council of advisors that included Edison, Ford, and other great minds he had studied. As you systematically eliminate these obstacles and implement the 10 elements of the wealth formula, you'll begin to experience what can only be described as wealth consciousness, a complete transformation in how you perceive money, opportunity, and your relationship to both. Where others see scarcity, you'll perceive abundance. Where others feel trapped, you'll recognize infinite possibilities. Where others approach money with anxiety, you'll engage with it as a natural friend and ally. This wealth consciousness manifests in practical ways. You'll notice money-making opportunities that were always present but previously invisible to your scarcity-trained perception. You'll attract individuals eager to help you achieve your goals. Often without apparent reason, you'll find resources appearing precisely when needed, sometimes from the most unexpected sources. This is not mystical coincidence, but the natural operation of mental law. Like attracts like, energy flows where attention goes. The frequency you broadcast through your habitual thoughts determines the frequencies you receive. As your mental patterns become permanently aligned with wealth rather than lack, your external circumstances have no choice but to mirror this internal shift. Consider the life of Madam C.J. Walker, born to former slaves and orphaned at age 7. Despite every conceivable disadvantage, she developed such powerful wealth consciousness that she became America's first female self-made millionaire. The external circumstances said impossible. Her internal wealth formula said inevitable. The Formula 1. Your journey toward inevitable wealth requires one more crucial understanding, the concept of deserving. Many sabotage their success because, at a subconscious level, they don't believe they deserve abundant wealth. This toxic belief must be identified and eliminated with the same urgency with which you would remove a cancerous cell from your body. Understand this fundamental truth. You deserve wealth not because of what you've done, but because of what you are, an expression of infinite potential with the divine right to experience abundance. In all its forms, your worthiness is innate, not earned. Once this truth takes root in your subconscious, the psychological barriers to receiving wealth dissolve, allowing the natural flow of abundance to circulate freely through your life. This understanding transforms your wealth-building activities. From desperate striving to joyful self-expression, you no longer chase money from a position of lack, but attract it through the abundant value you contribute. This shift in perspective, from getting to giving, from scarcity to sufficiency, accelerates your progress exponentially. The final aspect of the mental formula that attracts inevitable wealth is the integration of gratitude as a daily practice. Gratitude is not merely a pleasant sentiment, but a powerful force that expands whatever it touches when you express genuine gratitude for the wealth you already possess. No matter how modest it may appear by external standards, you create the conditions for that wealth to multiply. Begin and end each day with a period of focused gratitude, acknowledging every financial blessing in your life, from the smallest to the largest. Feel the emotional resonance of having your basic needs met. Appreciate the opportunities for growth that exist all around you. Give thanks for the wealth that is already on its way to you. Through your application of these principles, this gratitude practice serves multiple purposes. It shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, immediately altering your emotional state. It demonstrates to your subconscious mind that you can be trusted with abundance as you appreciate what you already have. And it sends a powerful message to the universe that you're ready to receive more as you properly stewardship what you've already been given. Howard Schultz, who built Starbucks into a global empire, never forgot his origins in Brooklyn's public housing projects. Throughout his journey to immense wealth, he maintained a practice of gratitude, regularly acknowledging how far he had come and expressing appreciation for the opportunities America had provided. This gratitude mindset kept him grounded, resilient, and open to the continual expansion that transformed a single coffee shop into thousands of locations worldwide. As you implement this complete mental formula, embracing its 10 elements, overcoming the common obstacles, developing wealth consciousness, recognizing your inherent deservingness, and practicing daily gratitude, you set in motion forces that make your financial success not merely possible, not even probable, but absolutely inevitable. This is the promise and the challenge before you. The principles are timeless, proven through centuries of application by those who dared to test them. The formula is complete, lacking nothing required for total transformation. The choice, as it has always been, remains yours alone. Will you continue to drift with the currents of circumstance, allowing external conditions to determine your financial destiny? Or will you take the helm of your economic ship, charting a deliberate course toward the abundant shores that have beckoned to you? From the moment you were born, the wealth you desire is neither distant nor doubtful. It exists now as potential, awaiting only your disciplined application of the formula to transform it into tangible reality. The universe, with all its abundance, stands ready to support your journey. Infinite intelligence, with all its wisdom, waits to guide your steps. The accumulated knowledge of all who have succeeded before you provides a clear roadmap to follow. All that remains is the most important element of all, your decision. Not a weak wish or a pale hope, but a fundamental decision that reverberates through every cell of your being. A line drawn in the sand of your consciousness declaring, from this moment forward, I commit without reservation to the principles that govern wealth creation. I accept full responsibility for my financial destiny. I dedicate myself to the consistent application of this formula until my inevitable success is made manifest. Make this decision not once but every morning upon waking and every night before sleeping. Renew it with each challenge that tests your resolve. Strengthen it with each victory that confirms your path. Let it become the central organizing principle around which your days are structured and your efforts are directed. Remember always that wealth is not measured merely in monetary terms, but in the richness of a life, fully lived, potential fully expressed, and contributions fully made. True wealth encompasses vibrant health, loving relationships, meaningful work, and spiritual fulfillment alongside material abundance. The formula you've received cultivates all these dimensions, simultaneously creating not just financial freedom, but a legacy of lasting significance. The journey begins with your next thought, your next decision, your next action. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when you feel more ready. Now, this moment contains all the power you will ever need to initiate the transformation that awaits you. The world is full of those who knew what to do but never did it. Let your life tell a different story. Let your legacy be one of principle applied, potential fulfilled, and prosperity achieved. Let your example inspire others to discover the wealth-creating power that lies dormant within them, awaiting only the application of the same timeless formula to spring into magnificent expression. The mental formula that attracts inevitable wealth is now yours. Use it, test it, prove it through your own experience, and as you rise to heights you once thought impossible, remember that your success was never in doubt. It was simply awaiting. your discovery and implementation of the principles that have always governed the creation of wealth, and always will. Your new life of abundance begins now. Step forward with confidence, clarity, and unshakable determination. The universe itself conspires for your success. The greatest tragedy in life is not failure, but the failure to try. Look around at those who live lives of quiet desperation, who have surrendered their dreams on the altar of safety and security. They exist, but they do not truly live. They survive, but they do not thrive. They accumulate years, but they do not accumulate wealth. Neither the financial wealth that buys freedom nor the spiritual wealth that creates fulfillment. Do not let this be your epitaph. Do not let your life story read, "Here lies one who had the formula for greatness, but lacked the courage to apply it." Your potential is too vast, your purpose too important, your contribution too needed for such a diminished existence. Perhaps you're thinking, this all sounds well and good, but you don't understand my circumstances. You don't know my limitations. You don't see the obstacles in my path. And you're right. I don't know the specific challenges you face, but I know something more important. I know the universal principles that transcend all circumstances, overcome all limitations, and transform all obstacles into stepping stones. These principles have worked for those born into poverty and those born into privilege. They have worked for those with advanced education and those with minimal schooling. They have worked for the young starting out and the old starting over. They have worked across cultures, across eras, across every conceivable divide that separates one human experience from another. The only question that matters is, will they work for you? And the answer depends not on external factors but on a single internal choice, your willingness to apply them with unwavering consistency until they yield their inevitable harvest. Consider the case of Roland Hussey Macy. His first 4 retail ventures ended in failure. Most would have abandoned the dream, accepting the reality that they simply weren't cut out for business. Success, Macy chose differently. He applied the principles we've discussed, maintaining his definite purpose, adjusting his plans based on lessons learned, keeping unwavering faith in his vision, persisting through temporary defeat, gathering a mastermind of talented individuals, establishing success habits, transmuting his energy into creative solutions, following his intuition, mastering his emotions, and surrendering to a power greater than himself while continuing to take disciplined action. The result, the 5th attempt succeeded beyond all expectations, creating the retail giant that bears his name to this day. The difference between his failures and his ultimate success lay not in external circumstances, but in his refined application of universal principles. Or consider Sarah Breedlove, born to former slaves and orphaned at 7, working as a domestic servant, seemingly destined for a life of poverty and obscurity. She could have accepted this fate. Instead, she developed a hair care product for Black women, built a business model that employed thousands, and as Madam C.J. Walker, became one of the first female self-made millionaires in America. The principles made the difference. Or consider Soichiro Honda, whose initial attempt to sell his piston rings to Toyota was rejected because they didn't meet quality standards. Rather than blaming Toyota's excessive requirements or his own inadequate resources, he spent 2 years studying, improving, and perfecting his manufacturing process. When he finally secured the contract, it launched a trajectory that culminated in the global automotive empire we know today. The principles made the difference. These individuals weren't superhuman. They possessed no magical powers or extraordinary advantages. What separated them was simply their disciplined application of the mental formula we've explored, their unwavering commitment to align their thinking with the laws that govern achievement. You possess this same capacity, the same intelligence that flows through all creation flows through you. The same principles that work for them will work for you with mathematical precision. The question is not one of possibility but of application. Let me address the most common concerns that might be arising in your mind at this moment. Perhaps you're thinking, I'm too old to begin this journey. Colonel Sanders was 65 when he began building his Kentucky Fried Chicken empire. Grandma Moses started painting at 78 and became world-renowned. Age is not a barrier to wealth, but a repository of wisdom that, when combined with these principles, creates unstoppable momentum. Perhaps you're thinking, I lack the education or connections necessary for significant wealth. Consider that many of history's wealthiest individuals had minimal formal education. Henry Ford had less than 8 years of schooling. Richard Branson dropped out at 16. Their disadvantage became an advantage, freeing them from conventional thinking and forcing them to rely on the very principles we've discussed rather than credentials or connections. Perhaps you're thinking, the economy is against me, the system is rigged, the opportunities that existed for previous generations no longer exist. This perspective, while popular, ignores a fundamental truth. The principles of wealth creation transcend economic conditions. During the Great Depression, more millionaires were created than at any previous time in American history. Why? Because economic disruption, while destroying outdated models, simultaneously creates unprecedented opportunities for those with the vision to perceive them and the courage to pursue them. The current global economy, with its technological connectivity, artificial intelligence, and borderless markets, offers more wealth-building potential than any previous era. The limiting factor is not external opportunity, but internal readiness. The development of a wealth consciousness capable of recognizing and acting upon the abundance that surrounds you in every moment. This brings us to a critical understanding that few wealth seekers ever grasp. True wealth begins with giving, not getting. The universe operates on the principle of circulation. Money, like energy, must flow to maintain its power. Those who clutch it tightly, motivated by fear of loss, ironically guarantee that very loss through their constricting fear. Those who circulate it wisely, motivated by the joy of contribution, activate the law of increase that governs all prosperity. This is not idealistic philosophy, but practical economics. Every great fortune began with the creation of genuine value, solving problems, meeting needs, improving lives. Before asking what you can get, ask what you can give. What problems can you solve? What systems can you improve? What pain can you alleviate? What joy can you create? Answer these questions, and you identify the source of your inevitable wealth. Your unique combination of talents, experiences, interests, and opportunities, even your wounds and challenges, has prepared you to offer value in ways no one else can exactly duplicate. This is your sweet spot, the intersection of your passion and the world's needs. Within this intersection lies the seed of your financial empire, waiting only for the nurturing soil of these principles to bring it to full flower. As you contemplate this journey toward inevitable wealth, remember that money itself is neither good nor evil. It is neutral energy that amplifies whatever qualities already exist within its possessor. If you are generous with little, you will be generous with much. If you are fearful with little, you will be fearful with much. If you are wise with little, you will be wise with much. This is why the development of character must precede the acquisition of wealth. Without this foundation, money becomes not a blessing but a curse, not a tool for fulfillment, but a weapon of self-destruct. The principles we've explored develop not just wealth-attracting thoughts, but the character required to sustain and properly utilize the wealth you attract. Integrity, service, excellence, responsibility, courage, perseverance, humility, gratitude. These qualities are not merely nice additions to your wealth-building formula, but essential components of it. They create the internal congruence necessary for the formula to operate at maximum efficiency. Without them, internal conflict creates resistance that disrupts the entire process. This is the higher perspective that separates the truly successful from those who achieve temporary financial gains only to lose them through character defects. Andrew Carnegie understood this principle so well that he dedicated the latter part of his life to philanthropy, giving away the equivalent of over $5 billion in today's currency. His wealth became a vehicle for contribution, not merely consumption, a means of expressing his highest values, not escaping from them. As your wealth grows through the application of these principles, maintain this higher perspective. Ask regularly, how can my increasing resources serve a purpose greater than myself? How can my financial abundance become a force for positive Transformation in the world around me? These questions elevate your wealth-building activities from mere money-making to meaningful. Mission: infusing your efforts with a significance that transcends financial metrics. This elevation of purpose creates a powerful feedback loop, further accelerating your progress. When your wealth serves a mission larger than personal accumulation, you access levels of creativity, energy, and persistence unavailable to those motivated solely by self-interest. You move from success to significance, from prosperity to purpose, from achievement to fulfillment. Consider the example of John D. Rockefeller, who combined ruthless business acumen with profound philanthropic vision. His foundation pioneered modern medicine, established great universities, and tackled global health challenges, creating a legacy that has improved countless lives long after his personal fortune might have been dissipated through mere consumption. The wealth he created continues to create more wealth, not just financial capital but human capital, intellectual capital, social capital. This is the ultimate expression of the mental formula we've explored, not just the attraction of wealth but its transformation into lasting impact. This possibility exists for you as well, regardless of the scale of your financial achievements. Whether your wealth is measured in thousands, millions, or billions, its greatest value lies in its alignment with your highest purpose and deepest values. As we bring this exploration to a close, I invite you to take a moment for honest self-assessment. Where do you currently stand in relation to the principles we've discussed? Which elements of the formula are already operating effectively in your life? Which require focused development? This inventory provides your starting point, the foundation upon which you'll build your inevitable wealth. Perhaps you recognize that your purpose has been too vague, your planning too sporadic, your faith too wavering, your action too inconsistent, your mastermind too poorly constituted, your habits too unfocused, your energy too scattered, your intuition too ignored, your emotions too undisciplined, or your surrender too incomplete. This recognition is not cause for discouragement, but celebration, for in this awareness lies the key to your transformation. Begin where you are. Start with the principle that resonates most strongly or addresses your most obvious need. As you master one element, the others become easier to implement, creating a virtuous cycle of expanding capability and accelerating results. Remember that this is not an all-or-nothing proposition, but a progressive development, each step building upon the last in a natural evolution of your wealth consciousness. Document your journey. Keep a wealth journal where you record your insights, track your progress, celebrate your victories, and extract learning from your setbacks. This written record serves multiple purposes. It makes your growth tangible, provides motivation during challenging periods, creates accountability for your daily practices, and eventually becomes a treasure map that others can follow on their own journey toward inevitable wealth. Share what you learn. As you begin experiencing the results of applying these principles, find opportunities to guide others along the same path. This sharing accelerates your own mastery, as teaching something requires deeper understanding than merely doing it. It also activates the spiritual law of increase. What you share multiplies, what you withhold diminishes. Maintain patience balanced with persistent action. Remember that the early phase of applying these principles often produces minimal visible results. You're laying foundation, establishing roots, building momentum. Trust the process. Know with certainty that if you apply these principles with disciplined consistency, your success is mathematically inevitable. When challenges arise, as they certainly will, welcome them as strength training for your wealth muscles. Every obstacle overcome makes you more capable of handling the responsibilities that accompany true wealth. Every problem solved develops the wisdom required to maintain and expand your prosperity. Every setback teaches the resilience necessary for lasting achievement. Never allow temporary defeat to become permanent failure. When you encounter resistance, remember that it's not a signal to retreat, but a call to advance with greater wisdom. Adjust your approach. Consult your mastermind, deepen your commitment, but never abandon your definite purpose or the principles that guarantee its achievement. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it may initially appear. Each step forward, each improved habit, each moment of greater clarity or stronger faith represents genuine achievement worthy of acknowledgement. These celebrations are not mere pleasantries, but practical tools that reinforce the neural pathways of success and program your subconscious for continued advancement. Finally, remember that the purpose of wealth is not isolation, but integration, not separation from life, but fuller participation in it. True wealth brings not just financial freedom, but the freedom to become your authentic self, to express your unique gifts, to contribute your distinct value, to fulfill your specific purpose. This is the ultimate promise of the mental formula. We've explored not just having more, but being more, becoming the full expression of your limitless potential. The journey begins with a single step, a decisive moment when you declare to yourself and the universe, I accept these principles as the governing laws of my financial life. I commit to their consistent application regardless of immediate results or temporary setbacks. I claim my rightful heritage of abundance, not from arrogance, but from alignment with universal law. Make this declaration now, not as empty words, but as a binding commitment to yourself and your future. Feel its power resonating through your being. Let it become the foundation of a new identity, the identity of one who understands and applies the mental formula that attracts inevitable wealth. The path lies before you, illuminated by the wisdom of those who have walked it successfully throughout history. The principles stand ready, waiting only for your disciplined application to transform potential into reality. The abundant universe surrounds you, prepared to respond to your aligned thoughts, emotions, and actions with corresponding circumstances, opportunities, and resources. All that remains is your choice, a choice not made once, but renewed each day through consistent practice of the formula we've explored. Choose wisely, act boldly, persevere steadfastly. Your inevitable wealth awaits, not as a distant possibility, but as the natural outcome of your alignment with immutable law. Begin now. This very moment contains all the power you will ever need to initiate the transformation that leads to inevitable wealth. Step into that power with confidence, clarity, and unwavering determination. The universe itself stands ready to support your journey toward the abundance that has always been your birthright.